We no other. We together. I'll remember. Sweet love all mine. All right. I'm gonna wait just maybe a minute or two for more people to come on. Rocking out to my Beyonce. And let's go ahead and clear this energy. I'm just waiting a few more moments. Maybe like a minute or two. Hello and welcome. All right, one more minute and we're going to get started. Hello, Truth Epidemic. Thank you for joining me. Got a little bit of sage here, just, you know. And then my selenite wand. All right, let's turn this down. Hello. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me just make sure that's off. All right, hello. Thank you all for joining me. My name is Nefertiti, and I am going to talk to you today about the 2020 retrograde season. First, let's start off with just a couple of announcements. I don't know if you guys read my community page, but I am postponing taking private sessions right now until mid-March because I'm working on a project that I'm really, really excited about. It's for you all. And it's just a way for me to better serve you. I'm finding it really hard to keep up with the private sessions with clients. And so I've created another type of service-oriented product, and I'm working on that now. And I'm hoping, well, no, not hoping, I will be releasing that right after Mercury goes direct. So yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do I need to talk to you about? I think that's it. Okay. So let's get right into the subject matter today. Self-actualization and the 2020 Mercury retrograde season. So I got this message a couple of days ago during meditation that this 2020 retrograde season is connected to some learning that I did years ago. I studied Abraham Maslow and his teachings probably in 2007, 2008. And at the time, I didn't know like how this was going to be relatable. Like, what is this? What is the purpose of this? I was teaching about maybe 25 to, at that time, let me see, 2008, I was teaching about 25 yoga classes a week, 25, okay? And I started using his material, his quotes in the class. And initially that's what I thought it was for. Okay, this is material that I need to channel to my yoga students. But now I am discovering that it's for this time right now, okay, that we need to really apply some of his teachings, or I do, you do, the people watching. So who was Abraham Maslow? He was considered the father of humanistic psychology. And he created something called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And I'm going to link that in the description box when we finish this video, as well as all of the other supporting links if you want to do further reading, research, which I would encourage you to do. But these basic human needs that we have, according to Abraham Maslow, if they're not met, then it's impossible for us to live healthy, authentic lives. So in addition to the hierarchy of needs that he created, Abraham Maslow also came up with the idea of self-actualization. So if you have a pen and paper, I should have said that at the beginning, that I would encourage you to take notes during this presentation, because there's going to be a lot of information, but you can always rewatch the video. So self-actualization is three things in general. The first is to be independent of the good opinion of other people. Notice that's at the top of the list, right? The second is to have no investment in power over other people. The third is to be detached from outcomes. So I'll say that again. Self-actualization, according to Abraham Maslow, means to be independent of the good opinion of other people, to have no investment in power over other people, and to be detached from outcomes. So the hierarchy of needs, and I wish I had a visual to show you. I think I'm going to pull one up, but it's basically this pyramid, and it goes from top to bottom. And a lot of people believe that it's connected to the chakra system and the needs that we have based on our energetic blueprint. But with self-actualization, that's at the top of the pyramid. Okay, so you really can't actualize yourself until you have those other layers or levels of the pyramid met, because you're going to be so focused on either survival or maybe being disempowered, right? Because that takes a lot of your energy. So until I pull up this visual, I'm going to just read this to you. So at the bottom of the pyramid, it's psychological or physiological needs. So that's like food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, the things that everybody does, right? No matter who you are, no matter what your status is, these are all things that people do. And if these needs are not met, then it's going to be harder for you to move up that pyramid towards self-actualization. And these are things that we have control over: sleep, food, water. We can control who we have sex with. I'm not going to go there. The second is safety, the second level of that pyramid. And so with safety, that's food, that's shelter, right? And being secure within your body, having enough resources to sustain you and your family, having good health, right? This helps us to feel safe. And we're starting to talk about that more and more in the metaphysical community, how it's so important to take care of your body. And you've heard me say this a million times. It's your body that is on this ascension journey, that's on this soul journey. So take care of your body, because it's the only place that you have to live in this life, right? The third level of the pyramid is love and belonging. So that's the need for relationships, the need for connection. And we're meant to connect to people, right? Physiologically, we're meant to connect to people. Emotionally, we're meant to connect to people. No man is an island, right? But friendships, family, and even sexual intimacy is considered one of our needs, according to Abraham Maslow. The fourth tier on that pyramid is, I'm sorry, I'm making eye contact with you, but I'm trying to pull up this pyramid so that you guys can see it. But the fourth tier on the pyramid is self-esteem, the need to feel good about yourself, confidence. One thing that I always tell my yoga practitioner students is that everybody in life needs something to be good at. We all need something that we can feel competent in, because that's how we're going to best utilize our energy. And usually what you're really, really good at is also your passion. Okay. So making that connection, knowing that you're here for a purpose, you're here for a reason, and you're good at a lot of things. It's cultural for us in America to just say, okay, we're going to choose this one thing to do and be good at it. But I had a friend growing up that was Polynesian, and her family, everybody did all kinds of things. I think her uncle had like 5 jobs. He was a musician, he was an auto mechanic, he was a hairdresser, and I think he actually collected trash a couple of days a week. Now that's hustle on a whole nother level, but for them in their life, the Polynesian lifestyle, according to her, that's normal for people to have a variety of different interests and things that they like to do creatively. So I thought that was very interesting because, like I said, in our culture, that's not always the case. It's like you need to be good at one thing. You need to be focused on that one thing and be good at it. But, we're very much capable of doing a whole lot of things, right? We just limit ourselves. So the final tier on that pyramid is self-actualization, okay? And so that is those 3 things: being independent of the good opinion of other people, having no investment in power over other people, and being detached from outcomes. And this is about being creative, spontaneous, problem solving, according to Abraham Maslow, lack of prejudice, and acceptance of what's truth and what isn't, okay? So I'm going to just show this to you really, really quickly, if I can get this to open up, just so that you can see what the pyramid looks like. And I'll also link it in the description box below. Okay, here it is. So I don't know if you can see this. Oops. I'll try to. Okay. There we go. So just taking a quick look at that. Like I said, I'll put it in the description box below. Okay, so now that we've gone over who Abraham Maslow was and how he contributed to modern psychology, let's go over the connection to the retrograde season that we have coming up. So what is a retrograde? What a retrograde is kind of an optical illusion. So from our vantage point here on Earth, a retrograde looks like a planet is moving backwards in its orbit, but it's really our orbit and their orbit kind of commingling. And so it appears to us that a planet is moving backwards. Every planet has its own kind of orbit around the sun, and we're going to talk about that. But Mercury retrograde is one that we know about a lot, but I'm going to talk about all the other ones too. Retrograde seasons are about going within. As human beings, we're very driven, we're very goal-oriented. So because of that, we can get imbalanced, right? So as opposed to the universe leaving it up to us to slow down, to go within, to integrate, they're like, no problem, we're going to do this for you. We're going to provide energy for you every single year to slow your roll, to process, to digest, because we want you to evolve and grow, but we also want you to get the lessons so that you don't repeat them, right? So let's get right into the retrogrades for this year and how to navigate through them based on what our needs are and self-actualization. So this week, February 16th, we have Mercury going retrograde. Mercury rules the mind, communication, transportation, short distance travel, siblings, your neighbors, anything that has to do with the energetic exchange of two people outside of the intimate relationships. That's more Venus. So when Mercury is retrograde, I always tell people to check your chart and see how Mercury is going to be affecting you personally, because you have the general astrology, and then you have the astrology based on your sun sign, and then you have the natal astrology, which is based on your chart. Those elements in your chart that connect to the astrology that's currently going on. That's how we as astrologers are able to give you a reading. So check your chart and make sure that you know where Mercury is transiting, because that's the area of your life that's going to have the most impact. Some people don't even feel Mercury retrograde. And I've noticed that people who have a Mercury retrograde in their chart, when this time of year comes around, which is about 3 or 4 times a year when Mercury goes retrograde, they're actually stronger and more intuitive and have a little bit of an advantage over other people because the retrograde is a part of their blueprint. Okay. But generally speaking, we know not to sign contracts during Mercury retrograde. We know not to make big ticket purchases. Now, when I say not, I mean to the best of your ability, because we have to live our lives. Mercury can go retrograde up to 4 times a year for 3 weeks. So that's 3 months out of the year sometimes where we are in an energetic slowdown, but we can't stop our life. So if you have to make big ticket purchases while Mercury is retrograde, I always say, especially if it's electronics, get a warranty, right? And if you have to sign contracts, make sure that you read and reread, get a second set of eyes, make sure that everything is signed, make sure that you understand everything. But if you can avoid doing these things during this time, that is advised, just because you don't have all the facts. Mercury is the messenger, but Mercury is also the trickster, okay? So we just don't have all the information. So we can't really make an informed decision. So do your best to go within with Mercury retrograde. It's a great time for reviewing, for revising, for editing, for repairs, for anything that begins with a read, right? Rereading books, redoing trainings. So in reference to the hierarchy of needs, I feel like this is connected to our self-actualization because Mercury rules the mind. And if you have read the Kabbalion and the 7 Hermetic principles, you know that the first principle is all is mind. Everything is mental. So the more you can kind of pull back during a Mercury retrograde and really go into like meditation a lot, do a lot of journaling, and just letting your mind rest, getting more sleep, and really embracing the slowdown of energy to kind of check and recheck things in your life, especially when it comes to anything having to do with logical things, right? So when Mercury goes retrograde, be flexible, be patient, and you can use crystals like sodalite, lapis lazuli. If you're working with affirmations, you can use blue lace agate. These are all crystals that will support you during this time, okay? So Mercury retrograde also has to do with safety, okay? That hierarchy of safety, because this is about your resources, your security, right? The things that you own, and typically anything that you own, you've paid for or you've signed a contract for. So definitely examine these areas of your life. Moving on, we have Pluto going retrograde on April 25th. Now, this is a normal occurrence. Pluto is retrograde for about half of the year, but Pluto rules death and transformation, the collective unconsciousness, regeneration and elimination, and healing. So when Pluto is retrograde, it's more like, okay, so let me give you this scenario. You have Mercury, Venus, and Mars as being the closest planets to us, right? So think of these as the actors in the play, okay? If you're putting on a presentation, a play, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are the actors. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are the other things like the stage, right? The stage that the actors are on, the audience, people watching, and the ticket sales. So it's all of those things that are kind of outside of our scope of control or outside of our direct influence and impact. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So Pluto is going to be kind of this underlying energy when he goes retrograde, about slowly releasing and removing toxins from your life, purging, recycling. Pluto is very much connected, in my professional opinion, to the psychological aspect of that pyramid, right? So safety, sleep, being willing to do the inner work, okay? Because Pluto is, and I've said this before, Pluto is like the devil, okay? Pluto rules all of those dark things, those hidden things. Pluto is the energy that when we are off track will come in and whack us, right? Just to get us back on track. So people like to talk about Pluto as a really, really bad energy. And honestly, the devil is not bad. The devil, darkness, cabal, whatever you want to call him, I consider that energy as a checkpoint for me. It shows me my blind spots. And so that's what Pluto is doing for us as he goes retrograde in April until I think the end of the year, showing us where we haven't mastered ourselves yet, where we still need to do some cleansing, some purging on our inner planes, because the inner creates the outer. All of this energy that we're going to be experiencing with these retrogrades is going to be inner work, okay? So with Pluto, it's a great time to reinvent or revive your spiritual practices, because Pluto is the planet, the energy that triggers us, okay? Those things that make us weak. And we all have those things that make us weak. We all have our own personal devils, okay? So we'll have lots of time to do this. But what do you need? What do you need when it comes to when it comes to Pluto and the energy that he's offering? Where do you need to transform in your life? Where are you stunting your own growth? right? Where are you not owning your power? Because Pluto rules power struggles too. So you can keep your power or you can give it away. And Pluto is going to teach us as he goes through retrograde how we can pull our power back, how we can call our power back to us and use that power that is ours to transform our life. Okay. So Saturn is next to go retrograde May 11th. Now, this is a retrograde that's actually good because Saturn rules time and lessons and discipline and structures. So with Saturn being the ruler of karma and manifestation as well, this energy turns inward so we can build on our inner planes, right? Saturn also rules limitations, but Saturn also governs persistence and being stable and organized. So when Saturn goes retrograde, it's a wonderful time to really get your shit together, right? And again, with these outer planets moving a little bit slower, we have more time to do this. Mercury is only retrograde for about 3 weeks, but Saturn is retrograde again for almost half the year, like Pluto is. And so be flexible again in your work because Saturn rules our occupation, the things that we choose to do in this world to make a living. And this really look at the areas of your life where you need more structure, okay? With Saturn and Pluto together in Capricorn, I feel like this is a lot of body changes for people, changes in their health program, their health routine, but also in your structures. What do you believe in? Because Saturn rules limiting beliefs. Jupiter rules our beliefs that are expansive and broadening our horizon. Saturn puts a spotlight on our limitations. And I'm here to tell you that the only limitation that you have are the ones that you put on yourself. Meaning you've probably taken other people's ideas, other people's opinions on how you should live your life and taken that as truth. Okay, so Saturn is going to help you to discover who you truly are at your core, at your foundation, right? And in relation to the hierarchy of needs, this is about loving and belonging and your self-esteem, your confidence, your achievement. Saturn rules respect, self-respect, and respect for others. Okay, and I truly believe that you can't give out what you don't have. So if you don't have self-respect, you can't get it from other people, right? And you can't give respect to other people, not authentically. So Saturn is going to help us to really focus on building on those inner planes and completing unfinished business, right? So Saturn, especially in Capricorn, is about kind of wrapping things up and really solidifying things. So you'll have a lot of time to work with this energy of Saturn, but I feel like it's going to be welcomed, especially as we move into the eclipse season, which begins in June. And we're really going to be accelerating in our energy. Right now, we have a lot of, I don't want to call it downtime, but it's just the flow of life is going to slow down so that we can really process all of the lessons, all of the upgrades, all of the shifts that we've had to go through for like the past 3 years, okay? So next is Venus. Venus goes retrograde on May 13th. Venus is about what we love and value. Venus is about our money, our possessions, relationships, our beauty, our comfort. So when Venus goes retrograde, it's a wonderful time to focus on self-love and to really balance your checkbook, watch your cash, right? So if you have not been really prudent with your money, with Saturn and Venus going retrograde, this is a wonderful opportunity for you to get back on track. There's lots of apps out there that can help you with money management. You can go to a class, you can read a couple of books, do whatever it is that you can do to get your money situation in order. because as we continue to move on this ascension process, move along on this ascension process, we're going to see an energetic exchange of wealth. And to whom much is given, much is required. So if you can show the universe that you can manage what you have now, then it opens the door for you to receive more. Okay. Saturn here too, like I said, rules, duties, and responsibilities. But Venus is going to soften it and just show you, you know, how you can be more loving to yourself, how you can be more supportive of yourself, especially when it comes to your finances. Are you able to buy what you want and need? I love, love, love Bashar's definition. We all know who Bashar is, I hope. He's a channeler. Daryl Anka is the one who channels Bashar. But he says the definition of abundance is to be able to do what you need to do when you need to do it. So if that is not you, if you're not able to do what you need to do when you need to do it, then work with this Venus retrograde. Call on her energy to help you with your finances, to help lead you to the right resources, the right class, the right books that will support you, because there's more than one way to manage your finances. Okay. But you have to find the way that works for you so that you can stick to it and be consistent. And that's what Saturn is going to help you do. Saturn is going to give you that discipline, that inner will, that inner strength to save money, to pay your bills on time, to get out of debt. I know a couple of people that I'm working with now are doing a no-buy month or a no-buy year. I'm working on that. You know, when you have children, it's hard, right? When they need things, they need things. So if that's something that resonates with you, go ahead and research that. A lot of people are doing that right now on YouTube. And as far as the energy goes with Saturn, you know, Saturn is considered one of the malefics as far as astrology is concerned. So when he goes retrograde, we can experience some ups and downs. And this is not to be pessimistic, but I just want to give you a heads up that you will have some energetic dips. But this is a wonderful opportunity for you to call on your spirit team and ask them, like, you know, why am I feeling this way? What is it that I need to know about these triggers that are coming up in me? Because Saturn is also a great teacher. And so is Venus. Venus teaches us about what real love is. And the only way that you can have a real love is to love yourself. So use this energy to focus on self-love. And I will be doing a Self-Love Sunday podcast type video every single Sunday, talking about all of the various topics on self-love, providing you practical tips, of course. So I hope that you can tune in. But love and belonging, that third tier, friendship, family, sexual intimacy, which we know has been challenging for a lot of us light workers, right? I mean, TMI, I have been really pretty much celibate. You know, I don't like to tell people what to do with their personal lives. Like, if you know, do your thing, but use discernment when it comes to relationships when Venus is retrograde. Because sometimes, you know, like Mary J. Blige said in her song, when you think you're in love, you only see what you want to see, right? So be mindful that there are tricksters out there. There are people that are not managing their energy, and they're looking for people like you, like me, to plug into, because it alleviates their responsibility, right? So I like Venus retrograde, and I like Saturn retrograde. All right. So on May 14th, Jupiter goes retrograde. Jupiter retrograde, no matter where Jupiter is, whether he's retrograde or direct, it's always beneficial, because Jupiter is the largest planet. Is it Jupiter? Yes, Jupiter. And Jupiter is just a very jovial, happy, I want to bless you, I want to expand you. But there is one caution. If Jupiter is making a connection to another planet that's malefic, like Saturn or Pluto, then it could expand the shadow aspects of these energies if you're not mindful, because remember that everything is here for our growth and development. So when Jupiter goes retrograde, this is a time for inner growth and inner expansion. And again, practicing financial prudence. So between April and May, these are going to be really heavy financial times, because this is Taurus energy too, right? So we're going to definitely be looking at that checkbook and at our bank accounts and things like that, seeing how we can expand these things. Jupiter rules travel, so take extra precautions when you're traveling. And this is a wonderful time to invest in your education. This could be going back to school. This could be taking a workshop, or if you are not able to do these things, if you've got books that you have, that you can reread those, because a lot of times we think that we've read a book once and we got all the information, but I've read certain books several times and I'm always getting new things every time I read the book. So invest time in your education. There's documentaries that you could watch. Go to the library, right? You should never, ever stop learning. When you stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you die, right? This is also a good time for you to nurture your spiritual practices, okay? So with Pluto here and Saturn here, this is really asking us to be yogis. Not in the physical sense, if you want, right? But really just honing your spiritual practices. What is God to you? What is spirit to you? What is the universe to you? Not what anybody else has told you, not what your parents tell you, not what your religious background has told you. What does God mean to you? How does that energy show up in your life? Do you talk to angels? Do you talk to your ancestors, spirit animals? These are all things that are going to come up for review at this time. How do you connect, right? And it has to be personal. So I would recommend that if you don't already have an altar or a sacred space, you create one. And you don't even have to have a place in your room. I'm going to actually make a note, because I'm going to link a video. One of my favorite YouTubers, The Witch of Wonderlust, she did a video about travel altars. So if you are somebody who's around people who don't understand your light work, or just, you don't want to be persecuted for what you believe in, you can create a travel altar in a shoebox. She had some that were in Altoid tins, but basically this is a sacred space for you to go and to connect, right? So get an altar in your home, a sacred space in your home, but if you can't, then create a travel altar. And like I said, I'll link the video. So on June 18th, we have Mercury going direct, and I already talked about, Mercury going to retrograde, and I already talked about that at the beginning of the video. The last retrograde I'm going to talk about is Neptune. Neptune retrograde. Me and Neptune do not get along. I typically am challenged when Neptune is making transits, whether they're positive or negative, because Neptune is a planet without boundaries. Okay, so when you're dealing with Neptune retrograde, things could be nebulous, things could be confusing. So I would strongly encourage you with Mercury and Neptune, especially, to see where these planets are transiting in your chart and in your sun sign too. Neptune is very spacey, right? It takes 164 years to go around the sun. Okay. So this is, again, a focus on our spirituality, our vision. We can be, despite Neptune being really nebulous, we can really be focused on our creative pursuits. So this is a great time to create a vision board, a great time to really write out your ideal life, scripting. What is your highest ideal? What is it that you want? And in reference to the pyramid, the hierarchy of needs, this is directly connected to that top portion, the self-actualization, the creativity, right? The problem solving, the acceptance of others, tolerance, which is very much a Neptune trait, Pisces trait. And we know that Neptune rules Pisces, right? But this could be kind of wishy-washy energy. Again, this is all internal. So be gentle with yourself and learn to retreat when it's necessary. So overall, this retrograde season is really asking us to pull back, to hustle in silence, right? Not everybody needs to know what you're doing. This is about you and spirit really connecting, because once we hit June, we're going to go back into eclipse season. And so we're going to be going through more shifts and changes up till the end of the year. We've got a few more retrogrades coming in. But this first part of 2020, after we passed January, after we got through all of those eclipses, this is definitely a time of review and building, doing the inner work. And one thing that we will discover is that there's going to be a lot of people trying to pull for your energy, especially people that are spiritually lazy, because they're going to see that you've pulled back. They're going to see that you have done some work on yourself. I mean, when you do spiritual work on yourself and you've been doing it for a while, it's obvious, right? So you're going to attract people that are energetically irresponsible. So be mindful of your energy. Be mindful of what it is that you need, okay? What you need. So what is it that you need, right? When Mercury goes retrograde, what does your mind need? What do you need for you to be mentally clear? What do you need to communicate with other people? What do you need to communicate with yourself and to your guides? When Pluto goes retrograde, where do you need transformation? Where do you need to heal? What do you need to put to death, right? And this is a hard one. Pluto is not an easy transit. It's just not. But we're light warriors. We can do this. We got this, right? It is what it is. We don't shrink when it comes to adversity, right? We don't have to like it. We could cuss the whole time. Usually I do, but I do what I need to do. I go, because life is cyclical. So whatever I don't complete, I'm just going to repeat, right? So when something is presented to me to handle, I do my best to handle it in that moment as far as the energy goes. But, be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. So I'm going to pull this up just so as we're talking, you can have kind of a visual. I haven't figured out how to put the screen on the screen. I'm going to get to that, right? But yes, when Saturn is retrograde, what do you need to build? What do you need to create in your life? Okay. What structures do you need to create in your life that will help you feel more fulfilled? Where do you need to take your time more, right? When Saturn goes retrograde, this is about doing one thing at a time, focusing on you, focusing on building your best life. All right. And then Venus, what we love and value. What do you need in your love relationships? What do you need in your friendships? How can you love yourself more? Because loving yourself is going to create those miracles in your life. And loving yourself is going to help you attract the love that you deserve. All right. And then when Jupiter goes retrograde, what do you need for your growth and expansion? Do you need to go back to school? Do you need to educate yourself on certain topics? Do you need to go to another country for a little while and experience a different culture? I'll tell you, if I hadn't moved away from home, I would not be who I am or where I am today. That's a whole nother topic for another video, but anywho. And when Neptune goes retrograde, it's about your creativity. How can you be more creative? How can you feel more inspired? How can you create that inspiration on the inner planes and then have that transition out, right? Or project out to the world, to the universe, so that you can get your needs met. All right. So I hope this video was helpful for you. I'm looking in the chat. I don't see any questions, but if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. If you are watching my videos on higher self, I do my best to get over there and answer those comments. I don't always succeed. So if you have something urgent that you would like to ask me or tell me, please comment on my community page, or you can comment on this video. But I hope that you enjoy this retrograde season. I will be talking more about this, of course, as we go through the rest of this first half of 2020. But let's start really pulling our energy back and start building on those inner planes, right? Shut out the external world for a little bit. Whoever's meant to be in your life will stay in your life. Whoever's for you is for you. Whatever is for you is for you. So you don't have to worry about pulling your energy back from people or situations or things if they're meant to be in your life. If they're not, then they're, it is what it is. Life is cyclical. Life is growth. Life is expansion. And you will have to leave some people behind. It's very heartbreaking, but if they haven't done the work, they can't go on that road with you, right? Because it's vibrational. It's energetic. It has nothing to do with family ties. It has nothing to do with anything that's third dimensional, right? If you've done the work, you can travel that road. If you've done the work, you ascend to another level, and everybody's going to ascend. Everyone is going to ascend. But because we have free will, we get to decide how we get to ascend, first of all, and at what rate we get to ascend. So nobody's better or worse than anybody else. But I wanted to tie these two elements together, our hierarchy of needs and these retrogrades, so that we can really start to do the work on ourselves. So really quickly, I wanted to talk about, oh no, I think I talked about that already. Yeah, okay. All right, so if there are no more questions, thank you everybody that was able to join me today on the live chat. So please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to speaking to you again really, really soon. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.